Hello and welcome to CloudFolks HUB. My name is Bhavesh Atara and our Lambda series is going on. From last many videos, we are actually discussing about Lambda execution environment. Now this is really very important, my friend, because you need to understand how the whole Lambda process is actually working in the background. For solution architect exam, they can ask question from any corner. As a part of Lambda execution environment understanding, I explain you what is Lambda execution environment, what is concurrency, how many Lambda execution environment we can create simultaneously. We also discuss about reserve concurrency, and this video we are going to talk about provision concurrency. So let's start. Here I am going to start with introduction of concurrency. I am actually repeating this. Why? Because I want you to understand this concept very clearly, because everything is depend on concurrency first, right? So let's re-understand this process. The number of instances of your Lambda function that are running at the same time to handle multiple requests. Here I am giving you an example as well. If 10 users hits your Lambda function at once, AWS will spin up 10 instances of your execution environment or a function, right? Now, if I'm going to talk about concurrency types, here we have two types. One, we call it on demand, which is kind of default mode, and another one is provision concurrency. Here, I want you to understand on demand again. Why? Because it will provide you better clarity to understand our main topic of provision concurrency. So, I'm going to start with on demand concurrency. Here it is introduction. Automatically spin up the environment when the request is arrived. It is like when you have demand, you are creating resources, right? And this is kind of default mode. What happens in on demand? Now this is the most important part, right? Let's say that you have your function, you are just going to trigger this, a request comes, AWS looks for existing warm instance. It is going to find out that, okay, do we have any existing execution environment available, free execution environment available? If no instance is available, AWS spin up the new ones. Means it is going to create execution environment for you. Now it is going to create your execution environment, then it is going to execute, so it is going to introduce some delay. After the function is ready, it handles the request. If another comes, AWS may reuse the same instance and create another, right? Or create another. Now here, this process having one issue, and the issue we call it like a cold start problem, right? Now let's understand this cold start problem. A cold start occurred when AWS has create a new environment for function that hasn't run recently. You have function, it is idle from so many minutes or hours. Now when you will suddenly trigger this function, there is no execution environment available. So Lambda will create execution environment and it will take time, right? So there will be delay, and this delay we call it cold start. Now, AWS has to create new environment for the function that hasn't run recently. This is one of the reasons for the cold start. Another reason is when your function scales suddenly and needs new instances. Instead of 50 users, right now 100 users is going to trigger your function. So there will be no free execution environment available. Lambda needs to create all new environment and there will be cold start. Cold start usually taking like 100 ms or several seconds. In the real life problem, there are many people are talking about like my Lambda function is working fine, but first request takes times and after that it becomes fast. Why? Because of this cold start problem. That's the cold start problem. Now you may have one question as well. As you are talking about cold start, give me solution as well. And the solution is provision concurrency. So this is like our main topic. So what I'm doing, let's understand provision concurrency and let's set up provision concurrency for our existing Lambda function as well. So Going to start with introduction. AWS Lambda's provision concurrency pre-initialize a defined number of execution environment, right? According to your requirement, we can say that, okay, let's provision some of the execution environment in advance. So whenever someone is going to trigger this, we can utilize this directly. So we do not need to create execution environment while the request is going to arrive. This environment stay active, ready, and ensure low latency response because environment is already created. It's designed to eliminate cold start for the critical application. So provision concurrency introduction is very simple. We are not going to create our execution environment on demand. We will make it readily available for our critical function. Now here, I am going to provide you 4-step process to set up this. Here I provided you step-by-step process. I will directly set up this. I'm not going to, perform the line-by-line process. This is for you guys, right? Let's say that if you want to set up this, you directly download this mind map. You can then, by reading this mind map, set up everything, right? You do not need to watch this video again. So that's why I just provided these steps. Now let me set up this directly from AWS console. Now look at this here. I have one function. It is like a basic test Lambda function. Now if you want to configure provision concurrency for this particular function, how you can do this? You have to go to the configuration. Now here we have one tab, concurrency and recursion detection, and in this tab you have this option, provision concurrency configuration. Now if I am going to click add here, it will not allow me to add because you have to set up either alias or version for your function first, because you cannot set up concurrency, provision concurrency for your latest function. Why? Because we are keep changing this function, right? So it will be problematic for AWS to make changes and recreate environment. So they are saying that first of all, create version, and optionally you can create alias as well, and then set up provision concurrency for this specific alias or function, right? So what I am doing, let me cancel this. Here I am going to my function. Here it is versions. If you look at this, I don't have any version. Let me click on publish new version. I already explained you about what is version and alias in previous videos, right? So here I am going to say that v1 publish. Now if you look at this, I have this version. The version number automatically incremental numbers. I am getting number 2, no problem, because previously I already created one version and deleted. So I have this version 2. Now this is a procedure that how you can publish your Lambda function version. Then we have step 2. It is optional. If you don't want to create alias, it is completely okay. But I recommended you to go with the alias because in normal circumstances, we are always triggering alias. So let me click on create alias. And here I am giving name. Let's say that prod. And here I have to choose version. Now I just choose version 2 that we have recently created. And let me click on save. Now you need to create provision concurrency for this particular alias. Now you have 2 ways. One, go to the function, go to the concurrency and click add here and choose alias and provide this. This is the one option we have. Another option is you can directly go to the alias. Here it is my function. This is alias of my function. Go to the alias. Okay, go to the configuration of the alias. Here you have provision concurrency option. Click on edit, and here I am saying that I want to create 5 execution environment. So now what will happen? 5 execution environment will be created for me. It will be ready and it is going to take some time. Right now the status is in progress, means it is actually creating 5 execution environment in advance. So what will happen if somebody will trigger this? I have this 5 execution environment readily available, so we are going to use this directly. Now it is going to take some time, almost 2 to 3 minutes. When it will be ready, I will come back because I want to tell you that how we can monitor this as well. Okay, so yeah. Okay, my execution environment has been ready and I have 5 provision concurrency. So up to 5 execution, I don't have to worry about cold start because these are readily available. Now, it is also important to monitor this. So if you have provision concurrency, you have to take care about these two monitoring metrics. How you can do this? You can go to the monitor. Here, you have to monitor one specific metric, throttles. I already explained you about that if the execution environment is not available and when you are trying to trigger Lambda function, it is going to provide you throttles error. You monitor this properly because from this you can find out that how many execution environment you need to create. And the second we have is provision concurrency utilization. As you have provision concurrency, you know it is not free, you are paying for this. So you can find out the utilization of this. So there is a CloudWatch metric available as well. Now, this is all about setup provision concurrency. Now, you know, as I explained you earlier, they can ask questions from anywhere. And that's why it is very important for us to understand some exam notes for a specific topic as well. And here I'm going to talk about some of the important points that they are asking in the exam. So let's start this.
Sorry to interrupt you. I know you guys are enjoying our video a lot because our final ultimate goal is Solution Architect Certification Exam. To reach the destination, we required full videos. To create our success story, here we have a 3 path. You can choose any of them. Path number 1, our 6-in-1 program. Our 6-in-1 program include all prerequisite skills which is needed as a cloud engineer. It include 24/7 support, lifetime update, section-wise practice test, full course practice test with tips and tricks by Bhavesh Atara, how to do exam preparation course, weekly lifetime live session with Bhavesh Atara, and 6 AWS project with documents. Path number 2, you can enroll by paying $499 and get Hindi and English, both the languages, videos of AWS. Path number 3, which is the last one, you can join our YouTube Elite membership. The choice is yours how to create your success story by choosing best one. Best of luck. Thank you.